Let's dive straight into some Raiders news that could shake things up. The Las Vegas Raiders have some players who might be on the move, and others who could bring serious value if added. ESPN recently floated a trade idea, and it's got some interesting angles. The idea? Moving Tyrie Wilson. Now, Wilson hasn't yet reached the superstar level Raiders fans hoped for. Could he be traded for someone like Braxton Jones, who was recently benched by the Chicago Bears? Jones is a left tackle with over 30 starts under his belt, still young, and with real upside. On paper, it might look tempting. But here's the thing, trading Wilson right now might be premature. He was a 7th overall pick and, while he hasn't hit elite status yet, he has the potential to become a productive force in the next few years. And trading him for a guy who just got benched, it's risky. Jones does have potential, good movement, strong upside, and could help the Raiders immediately at left tackle. Maybe even compete at right tackle in the future. Still, holding on to Wilson might be the smarter long-term play. Before we dive into more trade ideas for the Raiders, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and ring the bell so you don't miss any breaking Raiders news. Now, let's move on to the latest updates that could really impact the team. Looking closer at the Raiders roster, Tyrie Wilson still has room to grow. He's young, and his potential hasn't peaked yet. In fact, he just had one of the best games of his career recently. Trading him now would be premature. Let him develop, and the payoff could be huge down the line. That said, there are positions the Raiders could look to strengthen, quarterback being the most obvious. Geno Smith has had some struggles, and naturally, questions arise about possible alternatives. Some names have floated around, like Russell Wilson, but let's be honest, he isn't a game changer anymore. What he can do is similar to what Smith is already offering. A more intriguing option could be someone like Jameis Winston. He brings a different dynamic and could add value in ways that the Raiders currently need. But the key is smart moves. Jumping into a trade without clear upside could hurt more than help, especially after investing in Smith recently. The Raiders need upgrades that genuinely make an impact, not just headline trades. When it comes to quarterbacks, the Raiders might be better off staying the course with Geno Smith. He's already part of the system, and giving him time to settle in this season could be the smartest move. If things don't click over the next several games, Kenny Pickett could be the spark to finish the season strong, or even take the reins next year. Jumping into a new quarterback trade right now doesn't make sense. Patience could pay off. Shifting focus, the Raiders have another area to improve, the running back position. Right now, Ashton Gentry carries the load, but the backup options haven't shown they can make a real difference. Raheem Mostert, for instance, can struggle to break tackles and keep drives alive. That's where someone like Breece Hall could change the dynamic. Hall has had ups and downs, but he's still a talented, explosive running back. Adding him would give the Raiders a genuine weapon in the backfield, a true game changer who could take pressure off Gentry and open up the offense. It's a move that signals the Raiders are serious about competing now, which could excite the team and the fans alike. If the Raiders are serious about competing this season, adding a player like Breece Hall could be a game changer. He's still explosive, still productive, and pairing him with Ashton Gentry would make the running game far more dynamic. Look at the Seahawks under Pete Carroll. He often had two strong running backs on the roster, creating balance and depth. The Raiders currently lack that, and Hall could fill the gap perfectly. But the Raiders' upgrade shouldn't stop at running back. The defensive line is another area that demands attention. After parting ways with Christian Wilkins, there's a noticeable void. Wilkins was expected to be a cornerstone, but now the Raiders are struggling to generate consistent pressure. Facing teams like the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos means the Raiders need a dominant defensive front. These offenses feature some of the NFL's best lines, and the Raiders must find ways to disrupt them. Bringing in quality defensive linemen is essential. There are a few names out there who could make an immediate impact, though some, like Trey Hendrickson, come with long-term price tags that complicate things. When it comes to boosting the Raiders' defensive line, not every option makes sense. Trey Hendrickson, for example, comes with a massive $35 million price tag, far more than the Raiders are likely to invest right now. Still, he fits this scheme better than some others. He's versatile, can line up in multiple spots, and could provide immediate pressure. Other potential options include Carl Granderson from the Saints. He's already racking up sacks this season and could seamlessly fit into the Raiders' system. Some bigger names, like Jeffrey Simmons, probably aren't realistic. Teams with rising quarterbacks rarely part with cornerstone defenders. One intriguing possibility, however, lies in the cornerback position. Tariq Woolen from the Seahawks has struggled in a system that doesn't fit him, but the Raiders' scheme under Pete Carroll's philosophy could unlock his potential. If a move is possible, Woolen could be a perfect fit, giving the Raiders a major boost in the secondary. Sometimes, the right player in the right system is all it takes to turn a defense around, and Woolen could be the guy. Looking at potential moves, Rick Woolen could be a perfect addition to the Raiders' secondary, while big-ticket names like Hendrickson and Simmons just don't make sense right now. The team has also evaluated a few guards, so adding another may not be necessary. But there are players the Raiders could consider moving to maximize value. Malcolm Kuhn, for example, hasn't fully broken out yet, but if he finishes strong, his price tag could skyrocket. If the numbers line up, trading him now could bring a solid return rather than risking losing him for nothing later. Other candidates include Dylan Parms. If the season goes sideways, he could fetch a mid-round pick. Even Michael Mayer, despite his monster game recently, might be considered in the future if the Raiders want to manage contracts smartly and avoid overpaying. The lesson is clear. Smart timing is everything. Waiting too long can mean losing valuable assets for nothing, while making strategic moves early can set the Raiders up with future draft capital. The team has to balance development with value, and the next few games could define who stays and who moves.